Brigadier Wijeratne.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In the next 15 minutes or so, I'll be discussing on the humanitarian demining conducted by the Sri Lanka Army Humanitarian Demining Unit towards facilitation of reconstruction and resettlement, along with rapid restoration of normalcy. With the signing of the ceasefire agreement between the government of Sri Lanka and the LTT in 2002, Sri Lanka Army commenced its humanitarian demining activities in the country. U.S. Department of State, through its contractor, RONCO, offered assistance to humanitarian mine action in Sri Lanka, and the program commenced from August 2003, resulting in improvements in every aspect of the demining activities conducted by the Sri Lanka Army. Sri Lanka Army Humanitarian Demining Contingent, the only state organization involved in mine action in Sri Lanka, possesses the capability of executing operations in all three internationally accepted methods, namely manual, mechanical, and mine detecting dogs. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, these mechanical assets are known as the flail machine. It's controlled by a transmitter from a maximum distance of 2,000 meters. This has the capability of clearing 8,000 to 9,000 square meters per day. These machines are primarily used for area reduction and quality assurance. Mine detection dogs could clear approximately 700 square meters per day and could detect landmines at an average depth of 10 to 13 centimeters. Once the dog detects the mine, it sits on the ground, and thereafter the manual deminer will clear the contaminated area. Dogs can also be effectively utilized for area reduction and quality assurance. Self-relied demining is only possible with manual deminers. And as you can see on the video, he initially carries out a visual check and feels for any kind of obstacles and then clears for vegetation. Thereafter, he uses the mine detector and subsequently uses the prodder to find the exact location of the mine. Manual deminer could clear only 10 square meters for a day. And as you saw, it's a high-risk task which requires total attention and concentration. Above all, it's very strenuous and something you could never rush. To minimize the risk of civilian casualties other than mine clearance operations, mine risk education was given a high priority. Also, the officers and men of field engineer units were trained on mine action management along with basic and advanced trauma life support, which are mandatory aspects in any mine clearing operations. UNDP also assisted Sri Lanka primarily in coordinating and supporting National Steering Committee for Mine Action and District Steering Committees for Mine Action in Vaunia, Mena, Kilinochchi, Mullaitivu, and Jaffna. UNDP Mine Action programs provided and continues to manage information management system for mine action in close coordination with all other stakeholders. With the commencement of the humanitarian operations in the east and in Wandi, progress of humanitarian mine action got stalled to a greater extent. At the termination of the humanitarian operations, the safe return and the sustainable resettlement of IDPs became a top priority of the government. One of the major challenges to speedy return and resettlement of IDPs was the presence of mines and unexploded explosive ordnances in their neighborhood, which were the leftovers of 30-year-long conflict. In this context, it is important to note that the existed demining capacity was grossly inadequate to keep pace with the resettlement time frame and rehabilitation demands. The other essential prerequisite to expedite the resettlement process was the need to restore infrastructure facilities. Although government machinery worked at its fullest capacity with unstinted support extended by UN agencies and donors, meeting the demands of IDPs became an ever-increasing challenge. In this context, greater importance of conducting demining operations prior to venturing into resettlement process proper was identified. An in-depth study also confirmed that resettling prior to demining involves a greater risk which could lead to disasters as encountered elsewhere in the world, where people started settling down in their lands without waiting for the clearance of mines, leading to reporting of thousands of mine-related accidents. Therefore, in the Sri Lankan setting, it was decided early to conduct demining prior to engaging in any resettlement efforts. The authorities were almost in total control of the situation, ensuring safety and methodical return of IDPs back to their neighborhoods. The perceptions of the people after being resettled in safer environments with no mine-related accidents in post-resettlement period were the best measures to gauge demining effectiveness. It also proved that MRE programs conducted at the IDP centers had not focused on ground realities and did not sufficiently educate IDPs on the risk involved. High priority for demining was planned on villages identified for resettlement. To this end, Sri Lanka Army HDU initially commenced their operations in the rice bowl in the Mannar district, which has a huge contribution to rice production in Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the screen, this area was highly contaminated with mines and UXOs, especially with the mines being scattered and not laid according to any kind of pattern. But the HDU were able to clear 39 square kilometers of land within a very short period of time, recovering over 7,000 LTT-laid anti-personnel mines and over 1,500 UXOs. The second priority identified by the Sri Lanka Army HDU was the Kilinochchi townships and the immediate outskirts, which had the highest population density out of the liberated areas. Subsequent to clearance of a sizable area to facilitate immediate resettlement, very much in Kilinochchi, due to capacity constraints, Sri Lanka Army HDU focused their efforts to Mullaitivu district, where the density of contamination was found to be very high. As you can see on the screen, total area allocated to HDU was 1,556 square kilometers, and to date, HDU has cleared 1,285 square kilometers, which is approximately 83% of the total area entrusted. However, as people are returning to their homes, it is essential that the areas used for livelihood and lands with socio-economic bearing and infrastructure be cleared in parallel. The Sri Lanka Army HDU, under the Ministry of Economic Development, has significantly scaled up their operations in the north and east to manage the surge in mine action. In addition, MRE activities were also considerably expanded, commencing with formal MRE conducted at the welfare centers. Community liaison activities too were carried out by the field formations of the Sri Lanka Army in these areas in support of demining activities. According to an estimate, 1.6 million landmines have been laid in Sri Lanka, of which 366,870 mines have been cleared up to now. This leaves the country with an estimated number of 1.23 million mines still to be cleared. Non-technical and technical surveys conducted so far in the northern province reveal that as of 30th April 2011, approximately 400 square kilometers are yet contaminated by mines and explosive remnants of war. The current practice in northern Sri Lanka is to release land for resettlement following the completion of non-technical and technical surveys, where confirmed and defined hazardous areas are demarcated and areas outside of such are released. According to the National Steering Committee for Mine Action Statistics, the progress of organizations involved in humanitarian demining in Sri Lanka as at 30th April 2011 is shown on the screen. Figures indicate that the Army has emerged the major force in the country's demining